robotics is definitely something we're going to keep a pulse on because that's going to be a major change.
I was just saying they're just changing the game, man. It's so quick, and you got to think. All right, what's up? What's up? What's up?
Yes.
Welcome back to another episode of the Aggressive Income Pod.
And another one. What's
I'm
going
your
on?
host, Deuce Noble.
And another, your co-host, DJ.
So we're here. We're going to talk about a few things. We're at Aggressive Income Podcast. We talk about a few things in tech, a few things in business, and how to combine the two pretty much. So let's get it started. What we got today, DJ?
Man, we have a lot today. So Tesla just had their We Robot event. They
Oh,
unveiled a few new products, and they're kind of their vision of the future based off of like what the future looked like from the '80s perspective, in my opinion. But it was really cool to kind of see, the products that they had out there. Definitely the RoboTaxi, and the RoboVan, and then just the Optimus bots. Also,
right.
some news from Apple. We definitely have a few things just to kind of get into and give everybody some updates on.
Man, I'm actually kind of interested to talk about this Tesla event and their RoboTaxi and how similar parallels are to their event to iRobot because, who knows what Elon Musk has in store for us in our future.
It's gonna be interesting, man. I mean, there's just a lot going on in that space, and not only just Tesla, right? We focus on them, but China has a lot of robotics companies, and even in the States, I mean, there's other robotics companies, like the one that OpenAI partnered with. I can't think of the name, but we'll put that down in the description. But Figure 01, so or Figure in general, but their robots, they also look pretty functional, and they're improving. So robotics is definitely something we're going to keep a pulse on because that's going to be a major change. Because even at the Tesla event, if you were a bartender, I'm probably sure you felt a certain type of way knowing that the robot was doing the bartending for the night.
Yeah, I'm saying.
So I mean, of course, it wasn't it's functional. I mean, didn't have personality. I mean, but they could talk and correspond back and forth. So it's super interesting to hear. But we also have some updates from NVIDIA AI, some of their new tools that are available, and some of the stuff that they're piloting with a small segment of their user base, and then some Zapier updates as well. So from my side, Deuce, what do you have
All
today?
right, cool. Man, I got a couple of things, man. We got got a few things we're going to discuss just from I'd say, a holistic approach to AI, right? Looking at things like politically generated images, different things, different tools that produce these things, right? There's some viral images that are going around that are AI produced. Also, we're going to talk about some of Zoom's custom AI avatars that they have and a few other things with OpenAI. I think that there is some need to talk about, a lot of this tech that's coming out and it's rolling out quick. Like, man, we just last week we're talking about, hey, man, we're at the end of 2024. Look, we're officially in Q4, right? And there's things that are coming out, and it's like, man, we can't even keep up with what was from last week. So I think that there's a lot of tools and tech coming out that needs to be talked about. So yeah, let's go.
Well, I guess we'll start off with the Tesla We Robot event, right? I just want to jump directly into there. Mainly, okay, so here's some key points and everything like that. If you didn't see it, kind of like a TLDR, Tesla unveiled the RoboTaxi. The design of it, hit or miss with people. I particularly like it. I think that it looks pretty cool, futuristic, and whatnot. The doors, like I knew they would have to be automatic, right? Because RoboTaxi, if it's meant to be totally autonomous, like they're gonna have to be self-closing. But I thought it might be more like the front doors of the Tesla Model X, because on those, like you can control each door, but they're regular type doors-ish versus the Falcon Wings on the back that kind of, go out like this. But the Tesla, I think they did scissor or whatever they call the type doors on those. But it comes with like it doesn't come with, but they have other capabilities of like a robot that cleans out the car for you. So I guess their vision is that you can buy a fleet of these vehicles. They will be available to the public, it seems, not just like businesses, and you can buy them. And if you were an Uber driver, they were kind of just saying, hey, instead of you driving, you can manage your fleet of vehicles. And they have wireless charging. So those are the points is you can basically have these things running all the time without you having to really do much maintenance on them themselves. So that was like a pretty cool aspect of it, but definitely take a look at some of the images as far as for like the design of it. And when you're there, it was actually golden. It looks kind of grayish, but it's like kind of has like a gold, and that's apparently Tesla's vision of what the uh
what their
future of
future
it, like yeah, yeah, of a
looks
yellow
like.
taxi would look like. It would have kind of like this golden hue. And then the RoboVan, I think like I said, I'm a futurist, so I love like the crazy design of it. But you know, that's probably a lot further out in the future. RoboTaxi, I think they said, Elon said, quote, like before 2027. So he didn't really say any date, but he did admit that usually he's very bullish on releases and everything. So he's just trying to take a better stance of being like more practical, I guess, and saying before 2027. So we'll see how that.
No, I'm just saying they're just changing the game, man. It's so quick, and you got to think. I mean, I know there's been a lot of references, obviously, to the movie I, Robot, but it's crazy how you can imagine, like, where we were at, maybe a year or two ago to now, just with technology. It is pretty amazing. It is pretty cool. I saw the video, and I saw a couple other shorts people posted that were at the conference of the robots doing different tasks and different things, and even the fleets and all that. Like it's amazing to see where technology has gone. And of course, Tesla and Elon Musk, they are always ahead of the game.
Yeah, they're definitely ahead of the game. And just like so, RoboVan, you know, that one's a little bit ahead. They did have the robots. I'm glad you reminded me of that. So of course they had the Optimus bots that look really good, you know, pretty functional. They were communicating. There's if you look on YouTube and a lot of people that were there, apparently it did seem like, you know, the way that they were holding these conversations, everything that somebody was really like working on the back end, basically like piloting them, you know, versus like just them being totally autonomous. But either way, I mean, it for a demo with that many people there to go off without any hitches, especially with a lot of autonomous vehicles like being driven around. I mean, it's just really cool to see what they have going on. But I'm just, you know, I'm excited to what they're bringing to the table. And then they have a lot of other, you know, incentives that they have going on that right now, like a 0%, I think, interest rate supposedly for some of their vehicles, just to kind of really kind of push and go off the wave of that event.
No, absolutely, man. I think it'd be really cool. I actually saw a video of Two Chains talking to one of the Optimus bot, and he's like, "Yeah, man, I want to buy you."
Yeah.
It's like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
But no, I definitely think that, like I said, the technology is crazy. I mean, if you can just imagine, that I think all of these things, just with the robotics and just the software in general, is just obviously increases productivity and increases things in a certain way. Like companies can use them in a certain way. It's interesting to see how that'll take shape in the next couple of years.
Yeah, definitely going to be interesting. I think that they have, and you know, I've owned Tesla since like before the pandemic, right? So to see how their autonomous driving has grown, you know, because at first I remember like first time like I experienced it, I was on the highway and I, you know, enabled the I think it was called it wasn't like full self-driving, enhanced autopilot at the time. Would had the same, you know, feature set as a full self-driving, you know, years ago. Either way, you enable it, gets on there, and it drives like a 16-year-old when it first gets his license, like a 16, and that's how, you know, and then like a couple more, you know, years down the road, then it's like 17, 18, 19, and then like it just like the latest versions that are out right now I use it daily, and you don't have to like. There's barely any interventions that I do. Like maybe a couple nights ago, there was a, you know, there was a street or lanes. One lane went straight, and one lane was going this way, but we were supposed to go straight. It didn't get over in that lane, so it actually tried to beat the truck to the next of it to still go straight versus like turning left. So I had to kind of take over then, but that's rare. Like most of the time, like it's through like construction. They can have like different zones going on through whatever. Like it's been really performant. So, you know, I think I feel bullish on their timeline because of what I'm experiencing now in their vehicle versus like years ago. If it was years ago and they said, oh, we'll be fully autonomous, I'm like, I don't think so. But now it's like it's a lot different. You get in there in a single tap and it just, you know, it's taken me in my family to a lot of different places just without me
So
having to
let me ask
kind
you
of do
this.
that.
Do you think that, I mean, eventually, I mean, we've seen that certain states put into laws that, hey, we're no longer going to be selling, gas powered vehicles, right? We're trying to become full electric. Do you think there'll be a time in the next, let's say 15 years where we're no longer having gas powered cars on the road and everything's going to be one electric, but then soon to be autonomous? Like we're going to be
I
fully
mean, I would
autonomous with
say
cars. Like,
yes.
do you think that could possibly happen?
Man, I mean, telling 15 years is just very fuzzy, you know what I mean? Because that's so far ahead in the future and you just never know. But I think with autonomous vehicles, yes. I think that's definitely feasible because of just where we're at right now with the Teslas. Like I said, me experiencing what I have with those vehicles and it really just driving itself and doing all these things today in 2024. I can only imagine 15 years down the road. I just think it is going to be, it'll definitely be better driving
Listen,
than most of
I can,
us.
I can tell you right now, 15 years ago, Tesla didn't exist. So,
Yeah, you know,
I,
so yeah.
so 15 years later from today, I think we're going to be in a point where, I remember growing up, it was like, oh, cars are going to be flying by the time you're driving. Don't worry about it, type of thing.
Oh
Of
yeah, you
course, we
remember
didn't
Back
get,
to the Future, right? Like Back to the Future
yeah, we didn't get there, but
hoverboards and all. Yeah, yeah.
I think we're in a different, trajectory where it looks like we can be, fully autonomous with a lot of driving things. Like,
Yes.
they have, I mean, Waymo and a few other have, those autonomous, cabs and everything that go around what
I'm
Vegas
glad
and
you brought up Waymo because the Waymo, their model, like in the Waymo, shout out to them also. They're doing great things as well, but they just have different strategy. Waymo has a LiDAR, like, so they have extra equipment, on top of Tesla's trying to do
right.
all this is just cameras, computer vision, right? Which is cool, but it's just like, geez, like, but I think Elon, from what I've heard, is that he's like, if we drive just off of vision, then the vehicle should be able to drive just off of vision versus like we don't have LiDAR in our body or like we don't have that ourselves, right? So that's Waymo's going with like, hey, extra cautious. And I like that mode also, but I don't know. I think there's there's different methodologies on how you're trying to achieve that or solve that problem. And I think the one that could potentially scale better if they do it right, of course, would be the Tesla approach to it. But Waymo's, I do like that they have like, some additional I don't know, features or capabilities or whatever to kind of help assist. But the data is going to show at the end of the day, like if which one is kind of more performant out there and safer, just in general for the general public. So that's the thing. And one last point is that he did mention that 2025, all the Model S, the Model 3, and I think all the other Tesla vehicles. He's for Texas and California that they're looking for that they're seeking to get approval to have fully autonomous for those vehicles because you already have it. So full self-driving unsupervised is what they're calling it. So right now we have full self-driving supervised. It'll be full self-drivers unsupervised. And I don't know if it'll be for the entire state because I've also heard that it'll be something like between Dallas and Austin. And then in California, maybe certain cities or something like that. So we'll have to see how that unfolds.
They'll
But
probably have to get a certain city legislature to sign off on
yeah,
that. It'll
yeah, I
probably
don't know if
vary
it'll be
from
the
city
entire
to
state, but
city.
I think that would be super cool to just experience because I don't know. You low key experience it now. I mean, honestly, when I put on the supervise, it's just making sure you're awake and that your eyes are open. And now you can even have your shades on still. So that way, because then, like depending on the state that you're in, if you're getting a lot of sunlight, you may want some shades on. But that little, the camera as it's, if you're doing this or sleeping or whatever the case is, it'll say grab the wheel and, apply some steering.
Yeah.
Yeah, like basically it'll make sure that you're awake. Long story short, but I don't know. I'm bullish on that.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see. I mean, it'll be cool, but it's one of those things. It's like I think it'll take some time for it to become like the norm, right?
Oh yeah.
It'll be cool to see, but once it becomes like like a at home name, like it might be something, right?
Yeah.
But man, but all right, I don't listen. It's still one of those sci-fi futuristic things that's coming out, but it's going to be here sooner than we can think.
That's right. Um, So also, like we were saying before, in video AI. So they're a platform online that you can go sign up for if you create content. So you can create reels, you can create YouTube shorts, long form videos on YouTube, like whatever you create, YouTube shorts. Uh, I think I just said that twice. But anyway, you can create different types of content. What they're trying out is they've had the original NVIDIA model, and then they have NVIDIA 2. Now they have NVIDIA 3. And with that they're piloting with a certain segment, I guess, of their customers. And on that, you'll be able to generate original content. So there's some clips online that are kind of going around, but basically you can type in a prompt and it may generate some original content and then also add to like the stock images and other things on there. So you'll be able to create like maybe more unique stories versus it just looking like a bunch of stock clips and everything. I think that'll get super interesting because YouTube, for instance, people put a lot of content on there. And now instead of just looking like those channels where they're saying, let's compare, this and that, and it's just a bunch of stock clips and just it looks so generic. Like it'll be very unique, right? Because I mean, this is generated by AI. So like I don't, there's a whole bunch of examples. You guys can definitely check that out, and we'll drop some links below so you can see some of the examples that they have. But yeah, I think that's pretty interesting as well. And I know that'll be, for our content creator audience that's out there, that's
And
definitely something
listen,
you want to keep on the radar.
keep on the radar because look, stock images are hard to come by, especially when you're getting into stuff and it's getting real big. You want something that's original in a sense that, hey, this is what I created. And I mean, assuming there's going to be, um, I don't know if there's copyright laws because I believe I saw something where it said, well, I think it was with Canva. If you create like a logo or something in Canva, like it's you can't trademark it, right?
Mm,
And I think I was reading somewhere basically in their terms and conditions, if you create like a logo through Canva site and all this stuff, it won't you're not able to trademark it because of the tools you use and essentially they're I would say own it, but they have the rights to that image, right? So I
wow.
think that when it comes to like creating some of these images and original content with these AI tools, is you got to kind of you might have to start looking into not the TNCs, but just to figure out, hey, can I, have this logo and trademark it? Because you got to think like beforehand, if you had an image done, you have to get the rights and the credit to it, like intellectual property, right? That's essentially what it is. And when intellectual property rights are, enhanced, that's going to be something that is something you have to look forward to. So while I do believe, this would be great for content creators, different things, but when you want to start getting into ownership and understanding what intellectual property you do have the rights to, that may be something to look into. We are not lawyers, or this is not legal advice by any means, but
Yeah.
that is just some recommendation from the top of my head that I think that might be beneficial to a lot of people, right, including myself. I thought that was interesting because I do a lot of work in Canva. I've created logos, not necessarily in Canva, but I've created logos, right? And I saw that and I was like, huh, that's kind of interesting. I never even thought about that. That I can't trademark it or I can't do whatever I need to do to protect my intellectual property. Um, but yeah, so there's that piece too. And speaking of that, like there's even now with intellectual property going around and like custom images or different images in with AI generated photos, like there has now been, I guess you could say, I don't know if it's a common thing or something that's trending, but like images that are basically spouting misinformation. You think
Uh,
about, the hurricanes that has been happening with the Hurricane Milton and Hurricane Helene in North Carolina and in Florida and North Carolina respectively. There's been, we can call it AI generated slop, right? Images like showing fake things that are happening, right? But essentially, it's causing a stir because, like, hey, I know this is not a real image, but like people really are damaged or people really are suffering based on what's going on in, these areas, right? God forbid, anyone's still unfound or hurt or affected by these hurricanes or just natural disaster in general. right? But DJ, that kind of throws into the question, like, what happens when, let's say, I need to file a claim with my insurance company, and like, you know, like where can you how can the lines be blurred on insurance fraud now that these images, they look very real, but I know these insurance companies are going to have to put in some type of AI detector to see how real these images are, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
very
It's just
interesting.
it's well, I mean, well, it's that, it's political, it's all the things, right? I mean, like that's why I think OpenAI, they were hyper cognizant of releasing Sora too early because of the fact that they didn't want, maybe because it's an election year and they didn't want to, just have a bunch of misinformation that's generated by AI out there as well. Like, so these are serious things that we have to kind of consider. I mean, but there are cool tools, right? Like, so some of it lets you be creative and, some of it are funny
Absolutely.
and cool, but, with the good comes the bad as well, right? So like you'll have, I think the image that you were talking about that you showed me before we came online is just like basically like the child or something like that with the
On the
like with a
puppy.
puppy. Yeah, I mean, it was pulling on a lot of heartstrings, and just
Right.
to see that people really are probably going through that, like they really have like some issue going on, and to see that somebody generated an image and maybe they generated it to capture the emotion. Like we don't know the motive behind it, whatever the case is, but yeah, like there's going to be a lot of good with the bad when it comes to the full spectrum of what we have to deal with in society today. So
Right, but you got to think, you run this image past somebody who may not know any better, right?
yeah,
Like you can literally take advantage of it, and it's almost like we talked about the good and the bad and the balance of what this technology and AI brings. Like,
yeah.
it's like spoof calls, or like it's almost like what's that? Oh, I'm a African prince. Like I need some money, but like help me out because I mean, yes, it's fake and it's phishing, but like people can get caught up in like scams this way, and
Yeah.
like it makes it no better with this stuff. It makes it a lot easier for scammers to come on. Like, man, I'm gonna come up on something because so yeah, that is like the bad side of AI that I think, right, that can be out there. But
Yeah.
also this goes back to, what laws and what rules are we setting in place to protect people from stuff like this? Because, you got this, like we said, comes with this type of responsibility and power. A lot of these companies, OpenAI and a lot of these other AI companies, has a great responsibility for protecting, the consumers and us for these tools and the products that can come from it, right?
Yeah, yeah, I mean, we have to consider pretty much all of that. That's all has to be a consideration of just all the things. And I'm sure that I know they were talking about digital watermarking. So, or, I think Meta was trying to include something that they can identify if something was generated, but everybody there probably has to be something collectively with, together with the
Yeah,
that can mark all of these.
some type of consortium, like
Yeah, like
what I mean, like
something
someone
has
that
to
is.
work together. Yeah.
And don't quote me on this, but I believe even at the federal level, there's been talks about that certain stuff. But I don't know how if there's been a lot of pushback or what. But there's
Yeah.
something that needs to
I
happen,
think it's
right?
just probably hard to do a digital watermark that everybody, because some of them just in off of face value, right? Like if you just screenshot one, because you could generate one and it has that, but if somebody screenshots that, then how does that, still just, you'd have to maybe build something into
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like there's just a lot of variables, I guess, on
yeah.
how to do that. Yeah. So those are all things. Yeah, lastly, just on my side, just the Apple, reportedly, Apple's 18.1, which everybody's been waiting for, which will have their Apple Intelligence features that a lot of people have been waiting for from that platform, is reportedly slated to be released on October the 28th. So, that'll be coming up. And of course, you see the weird part is just like their commercials have already came out and all these other things as well, talking about um all of these things. And the crazy part about that is it's like so they're showcasing all of these features essentially, and it's not out yet. So you see the commercial, and you're like, "Oh, I want to do that on my phone." And like the girl summarizing her email, or like they're talking to Siri, and Siri's like more competent than she is now, like with the current version. So of course, everybody's just waiting to use these. Like I think Apple's in a great place to kind of leverage that. Same thing with Google, with Gemini, and as they enhance that because they have the platform and the knowledge and the information. Either way, people can't wait to get their hands on. So reportedly October 28th, we'll see if that date holds. But I can't wait to play around with some of those features.
No, I think it's going to be
Didn't do the
really
beta.
cool to play.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be really cool. I didn't do the beta, but I think it's going to be cool to play around with some of those features. I
Yeah.
mean, just in a sense, like having it in hand. I hope it works pretty well out of the box. I will say 18. The OS has been a little bit glitchy for me. I have a
Yeah.
I have a 14 Pro Max, so I don't know if how smooth it's running on the 16s or even the 15s, but hopefully, 18.1 will be pretty okay. I feel like the first week or two they're going to find glitches, of course, right? There's no way
Yeah.
around it.
I
But
think for me, this has been the most buggy release that they've had, like as far as like when they went from like a 16 to a 17 or 15 to
yeah, I haven't had too
anything
many
like that.
bugs. I can say like OS wise, like I've had to do a few things. I'm like, all right, I think I need to restart my phone because like what is happening right now?
Yeah. Yeah,
But yeah,
for
no, it'll be
text
interesting.
issues and everything, because they've also introduced RCS, and like I was telling you before, like that's giving me some kind of issues, especially if you have a VPN. So you might want to need to check on that with your VPN provider, see if that's giving your RCS or like text some issues just with the if it's going to send RCS or not. And that's mainly like if you're in a conversation with outside of iMessage, but even with iMessage, it's been really slow and unresponsive for me. And, could be an edge case. Like I said, I mean, I can only speak on what I've seen and what I've tested myself. But that's been a thing. But I can't wait to 18.1, and hopefully it does fix these things. But I know they were trying to do a lot. This is, they really did a big pivot, right, to try to really head towards AI. So hopefully Apple is really good about, really, releasing things over time and kind of improving, just like most tech companies. But they, uh, I think they understand they have such a huge digital presence that they need to, with their hardware, to make sure that that's right. So I think they're.
Man, I hope Apple blows it out the water. We're gonna see. I feel like though, because who is that partnership? They have a partnership with what? OpenAI, right? They was it was it
Yeah,
Open?
so I think they're building their platform to where it'll be like so they have their own model, the Apple Intelligence, and then they have the Apple Intelligence like secure cloud, I think they're calling it. So they're going to try to do everything local, like on your local device. And then if it can't go local, it'll go to their bigger model. And then if that model won't, if they still need kind of answers, or if it's like a bigger question, I think they can say if they need world knowledge, then it'll go to as it is right now, OpenAI. But I've heard that eventually they'll let you select like if it's going to be OpenAI or if you want Gemini potentially or whatever the case is. But right now, what we know is that definitely they have that set up with OpenAI. And you have to confirm it every time. So it's not just automatic basically. So you can ask a question, and if it can't answer it with all of its kind of ecosystem, then it'll say, hey, would you like to allow OpenAI to answer this question or something like that? And you press yes, and then it goes over to OpenAI. And apparently that's still all
Interesting.
secure. Yeah, yeah. So that's how they have it kind of set
Interesting.
up right now. But they do have their own models that they're working on. It's just, of course, as they're ramping those up, and I'm sure eventually it'll get to a point where, or at least in their eyes, it'll get to a point where they don't need to go even for world knowledge. It'll probably stay within their ecosystem. But this is cool that they're giving the option. And if you go back to their announcement, like they'll talk about their Apple Secure Cloud and how their implementation is. I think that was a good decision.
No, I definitely think it'd be pretty cool to see what happens next with that. But yeah, man, listen, time only tells all, right? And as we continue, look, each week, like I said, each week we're finding out a lot of like new stuff are happening. So it's rolling out like clockwork.
Yeah. Yes. this age is moving fast. There's a lot of moving parts and everything like that that's kind of coming along. So, but it's exciting. Like to me, like I just think that, and it's hard to keep up with, honestly. Like I stay in the vein of this space, but I feel like, man, it's over inundated because there's like a lot of little models releasing or and then updates to said models and of course the new startup companies. Like I think we're in a lot of people have said like the AI bubble, right? All these startups and everything like that. And as an entrepreneur, if you're thinking of these things, you need to be thinking like, okay, what problems can we solve, right? Like, so you and I talk all the time about like, hey, maybe we should do this kind of, startup, or maybe we should, do this. And then we already have some things that are in motion, right? So, but we're all always continuously thinking. So as, our aggressive podcast community, definitely, you want to think like what problems can you solve leveraging these new tools and also be strategic about it. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket and kind of just be so dependent on a certain platform. You want to make sure to kind of build agnostic, right? So like say for instance, if OpenAI may not be the route that you want to go permanently, maybe you want to open it up to where, you can have a whole bunch of things on the backbone, kind of like a perplexity AI, right? Where they search the web, but you can kind of choose which model that it kind of brings the information back with, and what model is it used to disseminate that information essentially. But yeah, like there's just a lot of ways that you want to kind of think about it as you are kind of putting your mind to like how can you take advantage kind of the bubble that you're in right now, and then provide some solid services, and start a business. Or
No,
if you already have an established business, how can you use these things to accelerate your business right now? Because it's that time also.
I agree. Hey man, it's one of those things where it's like you like I always say, you're either working with it or against it at this point, and against it is not really going to be beneficial, especially if you want to be successful in whatever business venture you have. So
Yeah. I mean, I'm real estate, everything. I mean, like helping you for underwriting, helping you with like a after repair value calculations and a lot of those things that can help you. Social media, like our content people that are, or if you have clients that they want you to handle like their social media marketing and whatnot, the automations that you have on the back end, like using these tools. Like now it's just the time that you can kind of set these things up, and it's a win for you and the business, right? You make their lives a little bit easier, you get compensated from those. So those are just some of the ideas that you can kind of take advantage of as an entrepreneur, as it is right now. And then collaboration too. I mean, like I would say you can collaborate and it's always that saying like what is it, work together, like working alone, something about you move faster, but working together you're longer, right? Longer on bigger
yeah,
distance. I would say that the same. And even now, because working alone you can really move a lot faster with AI, because that's kind of like your co-companion. So if you prefer to do that, it's actually a good time. If you're a solopreneur, leverage those tools and kind of grow with there. But if you are a collaborative entrepreneur, then I just think really both sides of that really are enhanced with that. So
absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely.
I know that was a
And it's
lot. We went through a lot.
yeah, no, we went through lots of very technical today. I mean, but I think it's beneficial because, like you said, it's just like there's so much stuff coming out, and we need to just kind of stay abreast of it. And that's what we're here for,
Yep.
to be your eyes and ears and all things tech. And hopefully, you guys can apply that to your business, or start a new business, or you can apply it to your life at home. And so that's what we're here for. But until next time, that's it.
Yeah, that's it, man. Until next time. And yeah, drop down in the comments anything that you guys that if you have questions on anything, your thoughts about autonomous vehicles, how the Tesla event went, pros and cons, NVIDIA AI, if y'all plan on checking out any of those features. And this video is not sponsored by anybody. We're just like kind of sharing that information and keeping you on top of what's going on, from our perspective and what we're seeing out there in the market. But yeah. We always appreciate that. Make sure to subscribe, like, follow, all of the things.
All right.
All right, y'all.
Take
Peace.
care, y'all.